Hey John, how are you?
Hello.
Hey David.
Hey, I voted for you.
Thanks. The competition was fierce.
I know. I was
Um,
like,
your pictures look great. Excuse my slip for getting you shoot with Canon.
oh yeah, that was funny, right? I'm like, Nikon, really? I used to use that a long time ago. Yeah. There was a couple where it would have been nicer to have the DSLR, like the monkeys.
Yeah, yeah. What cell phone do you have at the moment? You probably have a nice. You said you have a nice iPhone, right?
Yeah, the latest one, whatever it is. But
How long was the trip? It was
17 days.
okay.
Yep. Mm.
Alex, can you hear me?
Yeah. How you doing? Good to have
Oh,
you
good,
with us.
brother. Good to see you. Good to see you all.
Absolutely. Thank you for joining us. It's almost
Absolutely.
a month to the day. We had you in February last year.
Yes, it's good to see you guys again. I I think at least one or maybe even three of my colleagues are going to join me uh,
Excellent.
as we talk a little bit because I wanted you guys to meet your community officers. So I think
Great.
they'll be on. They'll hopefully be on momentarily. But how have you been?
I've been doing well. Doing well. Yep. We had a few
Good.
issues. I put a few things in the chat or on our slideshow. I'm sure we'll get into statistics, zip code related, all that kind of stuff. But that one issue with the LGBTQ flag on South Courthouse Road has been getting a lot of press recently. Washington Post article, all over. So
Huh. Okay. All right. Okay. I didn't know that. I didn't know that. So that's news to me. I'm sorry. I apologize. I didn't know that.
I'll find that article for you. I found it out. I found out about it on Reddit. I became aware of it a few months ago. It took place around September. I didn't know it was actually in the neighborhood. I knew it was somewhere along Columbia Pike, and then it said South Courthouse. I was like, oh my goodness. So
Huh. Okay. All right. Well, how many people are we expecting tonight?
I'll give them another couple of minutes, 2 or 3 minutes, and we'll get started. So
Okay.
critical now.
I
Hey,
see that
Keith, how you doing?
hey, Stephanie, I see I have Deputy Sheriff Stephanie Farris who's joined us. I don't know if you guys are familiar with her, but I'm gonna talk about her I'm gonna talk about her a little bit, and then I'm gonna ask her to say a few words when we get to that point.
Excellent. I don't think we've been acquainted before, but I look forward to having her. So thank you for joining us, Deputy Burr.
Yes, of course. Sorry, I'm in the middle of going home. I'll be better suited for this meeting here in a minute or so.
Where's the chat?
Alex, will you be attending the Pike's President's State of the
Yeah,
Pike?
yes, I'll be there.
Myself and Chief Penn will be presenting at that as well.
Excellent.
Yeah, we're
We
looking forward to
had
that.
Montoya on 2021.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, it was great to have him. That was one of the first meetings I held, so it's good to have him back. I submitted
Yeah,
him.
and he's actually joining us tonight.
I'm between Google Teams and I'm looking for the chat more here.
Yeah,
Okay.
Corporal Montoya is joining us, and I don't know if anybody else from our team is joining us, but to
I just
have
kind of linked to that Washington Post article about the pride flag, hate crime theft issue.
oh, okay, let me see. I have not seen that. Let me see that.
I think Malone is joining us also, Chief.
Okay, that'd be great. Yeah, thank you for this article, Alex.
Absolutely. Trying to get my slideshow set up here. Give me one moment.
Yeah. Alex, are you guys still meeting? Is it once a week, or excuse me, once a month, or once a you extended to once a quarter?
All of our executive committee has been either on vacation, I've been busy, or other stuff going on. So we actually haven't met since I think September. So I definitely want to try to get back to that regular scheduled programming.
Okay. Do you guys ever meet in person? I've never met with you all in person.
We actually want to start doing hybrid meetings this upcoming month in February. We used to meet historically over at Trinity Episcopal Church. We actually haven't. We want to get back to that. So we got a key. The parking situation is going to be a little dicey, given that the parking lot right across the street is now going to be. We've heard from new property owners they're going to be barricading that. So
okay,
we'll figure out the the logistics and all that good stuff.
Okay, got it.
Yeah, it's another minute or so here. Got a few more people joining in. We'll give it till 7:05.
Mm-hmm.
Can everybody see the slideshow with the fireworks going? Okay, excellent.
Yes.
Hey Meredith, can you do me a huge favor? Can you keep an eye on the chat if we get anybody? I can't see anything from my end on Zoom. Just
Sure.
Okay, one more minute, we'll get started here. Okay, get started. Okay, here's our agenda this evening. Go over our 2024 officer election. The competition was very fierce. We worked very hard the last several weeks to get a full slate together. So had some shakeups quite literally at the 11th hour. So I'm really glad we have a full officer slate for the four of us. First time we've had it since I took over in 2021. So really excited for that. Do a treasurer's report membership update. We'll do a zip code related, neighborhood related crime overview and Q&A with our guest here, Deputy Chief Wayne Vincent, and we'll get into some neighborhood updates. So sort of the voting was kind of a foregone conclusion, but excited to be back as president again this year. Christine Sheehy, our vice president, is not with us, but she'll be joining our next upcoming meeting. We're excited to have Hazem, who's been a longtime resident, as our secretary, and of course, our treasurer, Mary Flipmere, back with us again for 2024-2025. So, Meredith, if you want to read off the treasurer's update, yeah.
Yeah, and I just pulled up the bank account info too, so I can confirm this is accurate. We have just over $4,000 in the bank account and 70 dues paying members as of this moment. This is very exciting news because, as I'm sure Alex will get into, and I know he has via email as well, we're hoping to use this dues money and other funds to host some events in the upcoming year. So this money will go to good use. We are very excited to be able to do this on behalf of the neighborhood.
So thank you everybody who has paid their dues via PayPal. I think we're all set on checks. Meredith, you can confirm on that. A few people paid by cash. So we finally have our online banking set up, which was a 2-year endeavor with Meredith and I. Don't ask. But now we can have the mobile deposit for the checks, which is a lifesaver instead of having to run to Clarendon every time we get a check. So very excited about it. So we're excited to have Deputy Chief Wayne Vincent and several of his colleagues back this year. We had him back, I want to say February 2023. So this is almost a year to date. We're having him back for an update. So very excited. Deputy Chief Vincent is a 27-year veteran of ACPD, beginning his law enforcement career in 1995. He's held previous assignments across all divisions within the police department, including operations, criminal investigations, and community resources. He has extensive experience, as you can read here, managing and overseeing community outreach and engagement for the police department. During his tenure as captain of the community resources section, Deputy Chief Vincent adapted the department's community policing model to streamline services to better meet the needs and concerns of residents and businesses. So do you have anything that you wanted to share with screen share, Wayne?
Alex, I do have something I can screen share, but I can talk a little bit, and I certainly want to introduce my colleagues who have joined me. So let me start by saying good evening, everyone. It's such a pleasure to be with you all once again. I always enjoy when I see invites from Penrose. So thank you for allowing myself and my team to come here and present with you all. Or honestly, it's not even a presentation. It's more of a discussion about community concerns and how we can help each other, grow our community to what we believe it should look like and what it should be. So again, thank you for being here with me. Alex, can I ask you, how much time do we have? Because I want to make sure that I leave enough time to
Go ahead.
Yeah. Well, I'm here as long as you guys need me. But first, I want to introduce my colleagues. They really are my colleagues, because I'm very. Let me tell you all, first of all, I've been in the department about 28 years, and these last 3 years, almost 3 years, have been the most exciting because the people I get to work with. If you'll allow me, I'd like to introduce Corporal JP Montoya. I think you all may be familiar with JP. He's been with you before. He was named our official Latino liaison, I don't know, maybe 2 years ago. But I'm going to let JP, JP, I know most people know you or may know you, but if you want to say hello, introduce yourself, and say a little bit about you.
Thank you, Chief. Yes, my name is Corporal Montoya. I'm assigned to the Community Engagement Division, and I am the Latino Liaison Officer. So I've been in the unit for more than 3 years, and I'm always happy to help the community, to answer questions, and just to be part of these meetings. So this is something that I like to do, and I'm looking forward to continue doing it and helping the community.
Thank you, JP. What I like about JP is we can always depend. Look, he's a community officer at heart. He's actually outside right now in the community, which sounds just like him. Also with us is, I don't see her, but I believe Corporal Patrice Malone is here. But Patrice, are you on right now? Okay, she's not on yet. So I want to introduce you to Deputy Sheriff Stephanie Farris. Now, for those of you that don't know Deputy Sheriff Farris, you can just call her Deputy Farris if you like. She actually works for the Arlington County Sheriff's Office. And if anyone doesn't know the difference between the Sheriff's Office and the police department, either Stephanie or myself can certainly give you a very brief overview. But we're very blessed almost a year ago, I think now, where we had discussions with our sheriff, Jose Quiros, and having worked with Sheriff Quiros in years past throughout his career on many community engagement initiatives, it was asked, would he ever consider assigning a deputy sheriff to our unit to help us engage with the community on behalf of the sheriff's office? And we were very lucky enough that he chose Deputy Farris to join us. I think it's been almost a year. If it's not a year, it's close to it. And she has been absolutely an incredible resource for her. So Deputy Farris, if you want to, show your face if you can, and maybe say a few words a little bit about yourself.
Hey, Chief, thank you. I'm actually driving on my way home, so even if I did show myself, there would be nothing to see. But I promise I will be at the next event that you guys have, so you will definitely get to know me and see me in person. Yes, I believe mid-March will be a year, so we are coming up on that. But I'm excited to have been put in this position. It's definitely a blessing. And I'm working on a few projects right now with CD and to kind of put into the schools right now, kind of do like a self-defense for girls in schools. So hopefully that comes out soon. But definitely I will be at the next event here shortly. Please let us know. And yes, I look forward to meeting you guys in person.
Awesome. Thank you very much. Can I just ask, is Corporal Malone, are you on this call at all? I believe Corporal Malone was going to try and join us. She's also one of our corporals assigned to the Community Engagement Division that's assigned to your neighborhood. But again, not to take up too much time. For those of you that aren't familiar with our division, it's the Community Engagement Division. We are the newest, the youngest division in the police department. Our primary focus is to engage with all of Arlington, to promote and to build trust and foster those partnerships that are so important so we can maintain a safe Arlington community. We've done so in many ways in partnerships with so many, not only our civic associations, but all other partnerships like Columbia Pike, all the bids, and of course the CivFed and all the civic associations. So thank you all for allowing us to serve you as our community members. Our division right now, as you all may have heard in the news, our division is a little short on personnel, as is the entire police department. I'd like to start out with a brief of where we are as a department. We are authorized strength of about 377 officers. Currently today, we're about 69 officers short. While that's a national problem, it's not unique just to Arlington, but I will say this, even with our shortage, our officers continue to give the level of service that Arlingtonians have come to expect and deserve. Our officers are working a tremendous amount of overtime. So far, we are not on mandatory overtime, but they are working a tremendous amount of hours. So we have the officers required on the streets at the right time that we need them to be there. I will tell you that we are aggressively, and I do mean aggressively, recruiting the best talented applicants that we can from around the country. And the chief would be mad at me if I didn't share this with you all. If you have not heard, we're now doing a signing bonus. It's not unique to Arlington County, so please don't think that your taxes are going to waste. But for those who want to be an Arlington County police officer, if you have absolutely no experience, which normally for us comes into play, usually college graduates, we have a signing bonus of $15,000 right now. For those who come to us that have experience, at least 3 years law enforcement experience, it's a $25,000 signing bonus. And when I tell you that is probably top 2 or 3 in the region right now, but it is not unique, but it was necessary because we certainly want to continue to have a police department that can serve Arlingtonians, as I said, as you have come to expect. Beside that, the department is doing very well. We are looking right now, I think if I had to think of one word that's come to play in Arlington, as it does the rest of our nation, is technology. We are currently looking at technology, as is the county, to seeing how we can utilize and leverage technology to make our community safe. Some of those things are still in the works, so I really can't get into the details of it. It would be unfair for me to do so, but technology is a big thing right now, as you can imagine. I would also say that we are seeing protests. We are seeing protests because of the times that we're in. We're seeing more and more protests almost on a weekly basis now. And it being a presidential election year, we're gearing up with our civil disturbance unit to ensure that we also prepare to protect not just Arlington, but if need be, other important sites, people, things of those nature around, especially since we're so close to the nation's capital. Does anybody have any questions about, because I don't want to go too far into, but does anybody have any questions as far as just the police department in general before I get into specifics on Penrose?
Yes, Mr. Vincent, just reiterate something that I think you and I spoke about a while ago. Any traction on the auxiliary force discussion?
Yeah, no, I remember you. I do. What's your name again? I'm sorry. All I see is H.
Hazem, I'm sorry.
I'm sorry, what's your name?
Hazem.
Hazen.
Yeah.
Thank you for bringing that up. That continues to be a struggle for us, and I'll tell you why. We just don't, almost like why we don't see so many police officers, so many candidate applicants as we have in years past that want to be police officers. We don't see people that continue to want to be auxiliary officers. And I will say this, one thing I did not mention, we, in the past year, it was a vision of my division. We started really focusing on teens, our teens in our community. As you know, that we are no longer in the schools. There's no longer an SRO program. And so we wanted to make sure that we kept engaging with our teens. So 2 summers ago, we developed a teen police academy. And I think I may have spoken about this last year a little bit. The whole focus of that teen police academy was to really focus or really try to engage those teens meaning high school students who were interested in a career in law enforcement, because our vision was a year later, which is now this year now, we were going to really try to produce a really formal cadet program. Well, I'm very happy to report that we have created that program. We've just completed 2 weeks of a teen police academy this past summer, our 3rd academy class. But now this coming actually in about a week, a week and a half, we will start. We hope to be 10 new police cadets with the Arlington County Police Department. Those cadets are all college age students, 18 or older. They've gone through a vigorous applicant background check process similar to a police officer. They will be paid a very competitive salary. They will work no more than 20 hours a week while working throughout the police department. Once they acquire the required college credits, they'll be streamlined and hired to be police officers. And we're very proud of that because it allows us the opportunity to really engage our young people that live in the county and around this region that want to be police officers and kind of give them that head start into a career in law enforcement. So to answer your question, what we're kind of focusing on now is our teens and our police applicants, because we're just not seeing that interest anymore, or as much interest in our auxiliary program. Now, we still have some auxiliaries in the department right now. It's a very small unit. I want to say it's almost less than 5 that are really, really active. There may be more than 5 that are on the books. And when I say on the books, I don't say that to be funny, but there's probably less than 5 that are probably very active, shall we say. And mostly they're used for special events. Those events like foot races, things like the blues festival on the Pike, things like that, where they can still engage in the community and get their mandatory training hours to work every year. But we're just not seeing. That's why you're not seeing a robust auxiliary program as you have in the past.
That makes sense. Thank you very much.
You're welcome. Corporal Malone, is that you that I see?
Hello.
Everybody, if you'll give me a chance, I just want to introduce Corporal Patrice Malone. Patrice, I see you're on camera. Do you mind just saying hello and just telling everybody a little bit about you?
Hi, everybody. I'm Corporal Malone. I work on the community engagement team. I've been on the team since January. I've been with the department for almost 6 years. A little bit about me. I grew up in Newport News, Virginia. I'm a crime scene nerd, so anything crime scene is my jam. So if you guys need anything, just let me know. You guys can shoot me an email.
Hopefully we won't need you. No offense. Really.
Thanks. Thank you. I see we have a question from Terry.
Hi there. You hear me?
Yes, ma'am, I can.
Okay. I don't know how to do the camera thing yet. Oh, there it is. Okay. So I think that I read something either today or yesterday that the county is going to be using AI to answer non-emergency calls. What is that about?
Yes, ma'am. That's actually out of our emergency communication system, ECC. They actually partnered with Amazon to using AI to assist with answering calls for service. That is not our ECC actually falls under our emergency management and not the police department. So the article you saw or the video you saw will give you a lot more information than I can. But my understanding is that it's the future. It's very modern. It's forward thinking. If you did not know, right now we are one of the few agencies that we have the capability to do telework dispatching. So we actually have the ability to have our dispatchers that can telework and still do the same answering the calls for emergencies or non-emergencies from their home. And we see that as a double bonus for recruitment as well, because, you know, again, staffing, as you all know, staffing right now is a national problem. But using AI through Amazon, it apparently is going to be very forward thinking. You're seeing more and more emergency communication centers that are going that way. So we're very proud to be the first, and I believe we're the first in the nation to be using this technology.
Speaking of Amazon, I had read something recently that Amazon and their Ring doorbell cameras are not going to be able to be utilized as a policy shift. I don't know if that came from Amazon itself, but it's sort of a data privacy concern that traditionally those have been easily utilized by a local police department to investigate crime and other disturbances. I was curious if you had any updates on that, or how you think that's going to affect a department going forward.
You know, a few years ago, we tried to create, a few of us tried to create actually a camera program similar to what Prince William County does right now. Prince William PD does it right now, where if you're a resident and you have a Ring camera, where you through the Ring Neighbors app, you can actually register with the police department. The police department never had access to your cameras without your permission, but it was a streamlining a manner in which the police department could communicate with you, with residents in a certain area. So let's say we had a crime in Penrose, let's say at Courthouse in Columbia Pike. We could just send a message to that area asking if anyone has any film or any footage of this thing that just happened, whether it was an accident, hit and run, whatever. And then you could send that film directly to the police department. Recently I read the same article you did. Ring at the time had a couple of days ago, Ring had taken away the ability to do that. But that still doesn't say that residents can't share their film with the police department. As a matter of fact, I'm going to ask Corporal Malone to explain how those of you that have film that you see something that, or we actually put it out through a press release or even a canvas, how we actually now streamline that method of having you share your footage with us to our evidence.com. Corporal Malone, can you explain that for us?
Yeah, absolutely. So we use a program called Axon. Sorry, I'm in the hospital. So we use a program called Axon, and we have what's known as a citizen's link. So we'll just send a link to either your email or your phone number, and it's just like uploading anything from your pictures that you would do in a text message, and it goes right to our system. And only the officer, the Commonwealth Attorney, our Internal Affairs, have access to that particular video footage. And based on the type of crime will determine the length of the video. So if it's a felony, it could stay there for up to 5 years. If it's a misdemeanor, it could be there for about 3 years. It just depends on the level of the severity of the crime, of how long we have access to that video footage. But not everybody in the department will have access. Only the person that sent you the request, the CA, and then our Internal Affairs.
Thank you, Patrice.
Any questions about that?
Tara, do you have a separate question? That's your hand icon. Okay, all right.
Are there any other questions for me?
Mr. Vincent, just a quick one more question, actually. It's a bit technical, but we're wondering, myself and a few other neighbors, about surplus, especially interceptors. I know you guys work through the Equipment Bureau in the county. However, the Equipment Bureau doesn't seem to be an external facing department. And we're just wondering, what is the disposal process for surplus equipment in general, interceptors specifically? Because I think it'd be great, even for you guys, for your team, to give the residents of the county like a first dip at any auction or any liquidation that is happening.
I assume you're speaking directly to our vehicles, correct?
Mostly the vehicles, but I'm sure you have other equipment that may be of interest to other people, from flashlights to whatever else you guys have in surplus. Even, even police gear that may go to, let's say, an organization that deals with, like the PETA type of work or anything else.
Yeah, it's very interesting you say that. Just the way the county works, I'll start with the vehicles since that's the most obvious one. The police department technically does not own our vehicles. We call it the yard, but you're right. The county itself owns the vehicles. And so once it's predetermined, it's actually predetermined how long we keep our vehicles. It's based on a lot of things as far as the age, how many miles are on the vehicle, and the wear and tear on it. And then once that is determined that that car comes up for replacement, the county replaces the car, and that car is now taken down to the yard, as we call it, and it is stripped. And then, to my knowledge, it is auctioned, public auction. That's what I know about it. As far as our equipment itself, it is normally destroyed, believe it or not, depending on what it is. There was a time a few years ago at the beginning of the war in Ukraine, the department, both police and fire, we had taken some of our equipment and given it to a nonprofit to share with the Ukrainian army and police force, things of that nature. But and of course, if there is another police department that needs something from us, we've donated, like for instance, our bulletproof vests, flashlights, as you said, even our gun belts to the departments. But for the most part, those things are used pretty much to extension, almost to where they're not usable anymore and destroyed, to be honest with you, for almost all of our equipment.
It'll be just interesting to see how the auction process works, because we couldn't find any forward-facing material on it. I know Baltimore, for example, uses a company called Ritchie, which is the liquidator for the US, for the federal government as well. I don't know, in the sake of recycling and saving resources and getting you guys some cash back, maybe it'll be interesting to see if there's more that can be salvaged potentially. And I'm happy to make connections with Richie if that's useful to you guys.
Yeah, it wouldn't be for the police department. I can tell you, any money that we don't get any money back. I'll be honest with you. We're budgeted amount by the county, and if a car is sold or auctioned it's done at the county level, not at the police department's level. And certainly we don't get any money out of that. Our budget is our budget, regardless how many cars that either we crash or ones that are held on for 10 years if we're lucky and it's sold out. So that's really beyond the police department. But I'll tell you what, I will follow up with Alex and tell him exactly how our cruisers are actually disposed of, because I believe it's auction. But I want to make sure, I don't want to speak out of terms, but at last I was told it was they were auctioned. And not just our police vehicles, I believe almost all our vehicles, all county vehicles, I'm almost positive. But let me follow up on that with you, and I promise I'll at least let Alex know through email so he can share it with you.
Appreciate that. Thank you.
Absolutely. Let me see. Let me go to.
There is a question in the chat.
Yeah, we'll get that. I saw Darcy's question.
Okay.
Yeah, if Deputy Chief Vincent, if you have some other materials you want to share, if not, we can. Yeah, I have some community questions, some other follow-up. So, yeah, just let us know. We got some other stuff prepared that we can certainly chat about here.
So what I'm going to do, because the question always comes up, as I told Alex at the beginning, myself and Chief Penn are going to be presenting at the Pike, the State of the Pike, next week, I believe. I think it's next week we're going to be there. And it'll be a more broader view, but Alex asked me to talk a little bit, compare crime in Penrose, fourth quarter versus this first quarter. So I'm just going to share my screen briefly. And just to show you guys some things. Let me start off by saying that Penrose continues to be one of the safer neighborhoods in Arlington County. I will say that to give you a kind of an outstretch of that. And let me share my screen first so you guys can look at this, because I found it very interesting myself. Can you see my screen? You can. Okay, great.
Perfect.
So here are some numbers for you that look, this is just your civic association. Keep that in mind. And what I did was, at Alex's request, I got numbers that went on to start out in the fourth quarter from October 23, November, December, and I went until January of this year. I went until pretty much present day. I think these were run until, I think as of yesterday, these were run. And I will tell you, as you look across the board, the numbers are extremely low compared to other communities. The two that kind of interested me a little bit, I just wanted to briefly tell you about, was you did have two robberies in December of 23. One was at the 7-Eleven at 2nd and Wise. That is going to be a robbery of beer. And the other one was a robbery of two subjects that were robbed of their wallet and their phones. That both are still open investigations. One of the biggest problems that we find in Arlington County are thefts from vehicles. That is a big deal for us right now. It's a big deal across the nation, for that matter. As you all know by now, that is something that we do not routinely respond to. We try and push. If it's a typical somebody broke into my car, we ask that you report that online, because of our staffing, because we think it's more efficient and it's more in line with the region. Again, Penrose is relatively low in crimes of that nature, but I would still tell you that the majority of crimes against cars, where cars are either stolen or broken into, are because our neighbors continue not to lock their doors. And so I can't stress enough to all of you, although your numbers are extremely low, that continue to lock your doors. I'll tell you, we just received a grant to the police department a couple of weeks ago, where we now have in hand several old steering wheel locks for Hondas and Kias, because those tend to be the hot topics right now, that we're now working out a strategy with our auto crimes unit to give out those locks to those specific cars that we know are more prone to being stolen in the county, in the region, I should say. We also are working with Apple. As you probably heard, DC routinely gives out AirTags to those same folks. We've actually doing the same thing. We're just waiting to the appropriate time to give those out once we identify those areas or those cars that we think that we should be giving them out. If you look at this map of your community, it kind of just tells you but there's really no set patterns here, but it kind of just sets the stage for what those crimes look like in your neighborhood itself. But again, there's no hot spot. One could easily say Columbia Pike is the hot spot, and normally I would say it is, but there really truly is no hot spot when it comes to Penrose. It's kind of spread out, kind of wide and thin. But I want to go back, if I can, to these crimes, and then I'll talk a little bit more about some of the others, about more general. This one says other, and it's an asterisk. It has 54. You can see here, those are just non-reportable offenses. In those cases, do not have an associated crime code. Example would be their police information reports, suspicious circumstances reports. Those are the kind of things that we're asked to take reports of, but there is no true crime that we can report to the state or to the federal system. So that's why they haven't been associated to this. But when you guys look at this, I ask you, do you see any concerns? I will tell you, and I'm going to give you some bigger numbers when I compare Penrose against the rest of our other civic associations. But again, Penrose continues to be one of our safer neighborhoods. I think I can make this bigger if I need to, but can you guys see this pretty good?
Yeah.
And I'll say this too, since you guys meet every week, I don't mind, and Alex just has to ask me. It's not a big deal. I can send you updated stats every time, anytime. You guys don't have to wait till you invite us over. I mean, something is, I can't guarantee that myself or our team can come to every meeting, and there's pretty much no meeting that we go to every month. But sending you just an updated copy of where you are is never an issue. All you have to do is ask through email. And you can ask that, Alex, several different ways, and I can talk to you offline how to request it, but it's not a big deal at all. When you look at violent crimes by civic association, and I'm not going to pull this up, but when you think about violent crime, what is a violent crime? And it's pretty much for us has about 9 categories: aggravated assault, a simple assault, obviously a robbery, murder, manslaughter, rape, forcible sodomy, sexual assault with an object, and forcible fondling. That's what we would consider across the board as far as what's a violent crime. And when you look at Penrose, over in 2023, this is all of 2023. Keep in mind that Penrose had 6 aggravated assaults. You had 28 simple assaults. You had 5 robberies. You had 1 forcible rape. You had 1 sodomy, and you had 10 forcible fondling, for a total of 41 what we would consider violent crimes in your neighborhood for 2023. When I compare that to the other civic associations, you are in the bottom third. And so again, Penrose continues to be one of our safer communities. Again, you had 41 instances of violent crimes last year. Just to give you a comparison, I'm trying to give you a good comparison that's close. North Roslyn had 63 total incidents. Lyon Village had 56, excuse me. Douglas Park had 85. Dominion Hills had 96. Colonial Village had 105. Boston had 184. So again, and I just gave you a few. As you know, I think there were 64. Alex, is it 64 civic associations or is it 54? It's a lot.
It's a lot. Yeah.
It's a lot. You guys continue.
Should be 64.
I was right, 64. Oh, okay. Yeah. So again, you guys continue to be low, and so we don't really have a lot of concerns or issues where you are. I just want to speak briefly. I know that I get asked frequently about things like some of the businesses, and one that always comes up is Caspi. Because it's kind of close, although I don't think it's part of I don't think it's technically part of your community. I think
Southpaw 3, so they're in the Army businesses.
It is, but I'd like to talk about it a little bit. And so I did want to, since I do it, I am asked about that a little bit. I just want to just briefly tell you guys that fourth and first quarter at Caspi, we had 3 calls for service in the fourth and first quarter. All three were relatively minor calls, and all 3 actually generated no report. Caspi management became ARI certified on April 28th of 23. That's the Arlington Restaurant Initiative that falls under our business outreach unit. Our business liaison, Sam Brand, speaks very highly of Caspi management. She said they have been extremely cooperative. We have seen no issues. We've had one dispute in progress, as we call it, on January, if you can imagine, on New Year's Eve there. And again, it was cleared, no report. Just so you guys know, being ARI certified by Caspi is a big deal. For them to be ARI certified, all of their staff had to take several hours of classes to include CPR, Narcan, de-escalation, how to call the police, how to report to the police, what to expect if you call the police. And so these are all a big deal for us. They also had to have written policies that adhere to our suggestions as to what a business should have. If you did not know, the county now mandates that all restaurants in Clarendon must be ARI certified. Those on Columbia Pike do not have that mandatory, are not mandated, but Caspi went ahead and did it anyway. So I will tell you that where I understand there may be some concerns with Caspi, so far in since almost since September of last year, we have had absolutely no issues with them. And what I like to hear from our liaison is that we have a good working relationship with them. So if indeed you see problems, please report them to us, because we know we have that relationship that can be addressed almost immediately with their management. So I just wanted to share that with you as well. The only thing coming up more on the business side that's coming up, and again, it's not really your community, but I know at P. Brennan's that's changing into a hookah bar in coming weeks. P. Brennan, because it's going to be an indoor hookah bar. They're working with public health to get their permit, because if they're smoking hookah inside, that requires a special permit. We are trying to contact them now, just again to start building that relationship so there are no issues, no concerns when they open up for business. We like to stay ahead of the game on that. We have not done so yet, but I'm very confident that our business liaison is going to make contact with them soon, and I don't anticipate any concerns or any issues with that as well.
That's excellent. We had one question, just off the top of your head, in part of your presentation. Curiosity as regards to other local Columbia Pike businesses also being ARI certified, to your knowledge.
DC, I can answer that. There are several Columbia Pike restaurants that are certified under ARI. There are one too many for me to name off the top of my head, but Sam Brian, she can answer that because they are all in compliance, just about.
And Corporal Malone is correct. There are several. Again, Clarendon area is mandated, but that is not the only area. We have ARA certification throughout Columbia Pike, in Crystal City as well. You know, I don't want to say the majority of our restaurants and bars are ARI certified. That I do not know. In fact, I'd probably guess no, because we have so many, to be honest. But Columbia Pike, like as Corporal Malone said, there are several along the Pike. The last thing I want to talk about briefly, if I could, and again, I'm here for as long as you want, and so is Deputy Ferris and JP. If you guys remember, there's always been some concerns as far as the giant shopping center, the Giant right there. And if you guys are not here, our community action team did a detail there, I believe it was last September, because we had gotten complaints about just a number of shoplifting and larcenies coming out of that Giant. We did an 8-hour detail there. We only made, I think, a few arrests. I think it was actually only 1 or 2 arrests there. So we did not see the kind of reporting that we had heard of, where people just coming in and just, you know, literally filling their carts full of food and just walking out. We did a similar detail at the Safeway in Roslyn that was very successful, where we made several arrests. But the one on Columbia Pike, we did not see that. The last thing I'm going to talk about, because it is a big deal, particularly along the Pike, is graffiti. And that is something that I am still working on to get a complete report. But in case I don't want anybody to think that I'm just going to pass over that, we have our gang detective is still working with the county and investigating, doing search warrants and working. We've identified, we believe, to be 2 taggers, especially along the Pike. We are working to make an arrest while we continue to work with the county to ensure that certainly if it's public property, our rule is to get that graffiti off public property within, I think it's 3 days. The problem is, as some of you may know, Alex, you certainly know, when you were talking about graffiti on private property, that becomes cumbersome. That becomes a challenge for us, because, you know, we can't make somebody take graffiti off their property, but we can certainly ask them to, work with them, you know, if they can't afford it, but 9 times out of 10, if you see graffiti up in your community or along the Pike, especially after 3 days, is because it's private property and we've been unable, or no one's been able to contact the owner to take that off. That is an ongoing issue that I believe, and Alex, you may be able to speak to this, that the Pike's presidents are working with the county manager on that.
Absolutely. We've had myself, Pike President's Group Chair Adam Henderson, and others. We've had numerous in-person meetings with the county manager, Chief Penn, and Detective Chamberlain, and others on this ongoing graffiti issue. So I'm glad to hear it, and praying that arrests will be made, and for the sake of our neighborhood and small business community on the Pike. I did have another concern here from John Bennett. He wanted an update, asking any concerns about Cabana. Understand they're under new management, and things seem much quieter. Have they been in contact with you and their management? They're a couple blocks west of Caspi, the bigger standalone unit there next to the T-Mobile store.
Yeah, I'm familiar with it. I'm going to see if any of our officers have any knowledge about that at all. Patrice, JP, Stephanie, are you guys familiar with that establishment? Any issues there?
Sorry, can you repeat the question?
This is in reference to Cabana.
I guess they
Is
were
that
saying
the
it's under
old
new
Purple Lounge?
management.
Yes, it's the old Purple Lounge.
So we haven't had any issues there as of this point. I know they just opened their doors maybe 60 days ago, so no issues as of now. From what I'm told, they don't have a ABC license, but we haven't had any issues.
Well, that's great. No news is certainly good news.
So just to shed some light, I do not think that location will ever have an ABC license. I think it's the decision of the owners not to have alcohol. That said, looking in, as you mentioned, Mr. Vincent, there's another hookah bar opening on the Pike. So it seems that the Pike is becoming, I wouldn't call it a big nightlife scene, but there's more and more nightlife locations opening, something the Pike has not had for a while now. And we're wondering if that would warrant down the line, at least, or in the near future, more patrolling, especially weekend, late hours. Because I mean, Caspi, as an example, and Purple Lounge before it, while I'm a former restaurant owner, so while I truly appreciate ARI and what you guys are doing to educate the owners, usually the bad things are things that happen with very little control from the ownership. It just things can go bad within seconds from patrons that you would not suspect to be bad elements. And I think patrols are really the only effective deterrent, if even a deterrent is possible.
Well, a couple of things, and I did, and Corporal Malone was right on point. I did ask our liaison about the Old Purple Lounge, Cabana, real quick. We've had no incidents there. We had one incident when they first opened up, but we've had nothing since then. We have been in contact with them, working with management, and again, there's been no issues right there. And as Corporal Malone said, they do not have a liquor license, no alcohol, and no live entertainment permit as well. So there's if you don't have alcohol, you don't have a live entertainment permit. It's kind of challenging. It's literally a restaurant. I mean, what else could it be, or a lounge? So there's not much to do there.
Sorry, I hate to interrupt you, but they do not have a live entertainment permit?
No, they
are actively running live entertainment.
I'll let Ms. Brand know, because she just texted me and said they have no live entertainment permit. So thank you for that. I'll let her know that. But they don't have one. To answer your question, I think you're right. Well, let me say that way. I think there are things that restaurants can do that can help us prevent bad behavior. I think there are things, and that's where ARI comes into place, where you're training your staff to recognize over drinking. You're training your staff not to know what fake ID looks like, so you don't let them in. Those are the kind of things that where ARI actually helps businesses take more control of avoiding those bad situations. On top of that, though, yes, you are right, police. And I think that's where, as you all know, we staff anywhere from 9 to 12 people in Clarendon every Friday, Saturday, and 5 officers and a supervisor on Sunday. While that's not Columbia Pike, and I know a few of you have complained to me before, where if Clarendon can have it, why can't we have it? I think I just asked you to remember that while those officers are assigned to Clarendon, that frees up patrol to go and do the rest of the county. And the mere fact that Columbia Pike is a major throughway, it just breeds having more cops going up and down Columbia Pike as a deterrent. Again, when I was in patrol years ago, when I was the cop, I was still a police officer, shall we say, on midnight hours, which starts at 9 o'clock at night and goes till 7 o'clock. But when we did it, it was easy to say that we'd have anywhere from 22 to 25 officers working all night. I can't say that's guaranteed every night now because of our staffing, but I still believe that as we are best when we work with our community. And I think when we work with our business owners, whether it be through ARI or building those relationships, and officers are aware of those hot spots, again, that's why having those relationships and officers know that, hey, Caspi is not a problem right now. Purple Lounge, you just told me something we didn't know that we're going to now go check on to see if indeed they have a permit, and are they doing live entertainment? If they do not, well, this is how you get a live entertainment permit, or you cannot have live entertainment. These are the kind of things why these conversations are important, so we stay on top of these things and hopefully deter criminal behavior in our business districts.
Absolutely. If that's all for what you have, I do have a couple things. Then we touched upon the graffiti. I can go back. I didn't want to interrupt you. The other thing you wanted to share from this slideshow.
No, I'll go back. No, I'm myself, and please, Deputy Farris and JP, Corporal Montoya, please step in anytime you guys want to have anything to say, reference Penrose or Columbia Pike, or answer a question.
So we had a few community topics. Can everybody see my screen here?
No.
Oh, okay. Sorry, I need to reshare. Okay. Everybody see community topics? Everybody can see this?
Yes, we can see it.
Okay. Excellent.
Yes.
So we touched upon the graffiti. That's great. So I'm glad we had, and I've been keeping in touch with Detective Chamberlain on this, numerous times in person throughout the, Q2, Q3, and Q4 of this past year. So I'm glad we have 2 identified suspects, and we can make an eventual arrest. Would be great. This is, of course, been ongoing along the Pike, particularly the Fillmore Gardens shopping center area since early 2022. I did want to touch upon something that's been heavily reported upon in the news, Washington Post article, Arlington Now. This was in regards to initially I think might have been posted upon on Reddit. We have 2 community members who reside on South Courthouse Drive, and this is ongoing since September 2024, or excuse me, 2023. It's a typo. Where they have a LGBTQ pride flag on top of their near the roof of their residence, which keeps continually being taken in the midnight hours by a group of seemingly drunk, I don't want to say military members and accuse them, but we have our suspicions that they may be military affiliated from, Meyer Henderson Hall down the road. But, a group of young men professionally keep on, stealing this flag from them, which of course, defacing their property. And of course, this has, hate crime element to it as well. We touched upon the Ring door camera. I believe they've been in constant contact with ACPD. They have sent you all a series of 3 or 4 video. The suspects are clearly have their faces identified. They're not wearing any hoods or masks. So hopefully, I've had several restaurant owners and Rebellion on the Pike and others in our vicinity reach out to me to try to quite literally put a name to a face. So definitely something I just want to make sure is on your guys' radar. And we had one other community concern that wanted some possible updates on. I believe this was earlier this month of January that we had a very large police presence outside the Shawnee apartment complex and near Penrose, Penrose Square, but Penrose Park, that drew a very large ACPD response. So I was curious if you were, any of you all on the call were aware of that and could illuminate us on that a little bit.
I can speak for myself. I'm not familiar with that January. Do you have a date or a time at least that happened?
Yeah, I was looking for it earlier. I can pull it up. I can email you a response, but I don't know if anybody on the chat knows off the top of their head, but it was within the last 2 weeks or so, my best recollection. So I can forward you some more specifics on that. It was a ton of squad cars out there, so we had a bunch of people, on our Facebook page, asking what was going on. So we didn't have anything definitive. I didn't see any press releases, any other information on that front.
And you didn't? Did you?
It wasn't the kidnapping, was it, Alex?
Was it something this month? Did we have a kidnapping?
Last month, Keith was kidnapped at the house that's like a double lot with the old cars out front. Is that what you're talking about?
I'm not sure if I was personally aware of this, but I'm glad you brought it up, Dave.
Yeah, he befriended a homeless type woman who then came back with 2 gentlemen, I think, and they beat him up, broke his ribs, took him away, is for what I understand. I think it happened because I saw the police trying to figure out where he was in the beginning. It was like a welfare check because someone called that he was missing. So maybe that's what you're talking about. It's the house like right on the right, like 2 or 3 in when you go toward the park.
Okay, I was not aware of that.
What date would that have been?
I don't remember the date. It would have been before the 10th because I was still in town. And
Before the 10th?
It was before January 10th. So.
Wow. I'm just trying to see if I can find it on our daily crime.
That is different than the Shawnee thing. That's
Yeah,
not.
do you remember when the Shawnee roughly was that a week ago, 2 weeks ago? My memory might be failing me.
Let me look on our Facebook page. Hold on.
Okay.
Patrice or JP, anybody remember that at all? I do not remember that.
I believe Patrice logged off, but I'm looking in the
I'm looking at the daily crime report to
see. Yeah, I'm looking at that too.
No, Chief, I don't remember any call in Columbia Pike.
Okay. I will look that up. I've already written it down, and I will look that up to see what exactly that could have been.
Yeah, well, I'm sure we'll have to do some digging and keyword searching through the Facebook page. I can give you a specific date and time.
I just found it. It was around 6 o'clock on January 10th.
Thank you, John.
On January 10th. Okay, let me see. Maybe I can find it.
Yeah, and I remember seeing something about that at the time that, and there's a comment here. A 10-year-old boy was dropped off by his school bus, never made it home, was located an hour later.
Let me check the 11th.
Why is it?
I think the specific incident we're talking about that happened at Shawnee was January 4th.
that may be different then.
Post saying, "What was that boom?" And then it goes in. All the comments go into. It was at Shawnee Apartments.
Okay. Was that the ones where there was? Would that be you guys? Or you guys heard the boom where people with shots fired?
Potentially. We get a lot of fireworks people saying they hear things that look like gunshots. This might have actually been.
Yeah, okay. Now I know what you're talking about. That was a big deal. That was a lot of, if it's the same thing we're talking about, that ended up being actually mechanical, I believe, coming from the fort, coming from the military. We had no idea.
Fort Myer.
Yeah, from Fort Myer. So that had a lot of us worried because even officers on patrol heard it, and we had a hard time figuring out where that came from. But we finally figured out hours later that it came from Fort Myers. Yeah, I remember that now. If that's the same thing.
I believe, yeah, that might be.
You said January 10th. I just want to check my.
January 4th at 6:11 p.m.
January 4th. Okay.
So the person who lives near the Shawnee apartment said it was at the Shawnee apartments in their parking lot. I'm watching it now. Just a lot of police and yelling.
And yelling? Oh, I don't know what that is then. January 4th.
There was a cop at 8th and Courthouse preventing traffic from going north on Courthouse Road.
Yeah, I'll have to look into that. I'm sorry, just to be sure. I don't want to give you guys wrong information. So I'll have to look into that and get back to you on that, Alex.
Absolutely. Appreciate that.
Yeah.
I think we have one more question here in the chat here. Darcy was asking on a separate note, what is the legal responsibility of apartment property and property managers to reduce noise disturbances from tenants?
That to me is that might be, I'm sorry, was somebody going to say something?
No, go ahead.
That to me is that more of a civil question than a criminal, more of a civil question?
I know we have a very easily searchable posted noise ordinance for those, but I don't know if that would be your wheelhouse.
No, but I mean, we do have but apartments could easily have their own noise, policies, violations as well, just like smoking, I mean, pretty much with the decriminalization of marijuana, a lot of apartments now just will say, you can't smoke at all, as opposed to, they don't want to say, you can't smoke weed. So that most places will say you can't smoke at all. So I think the same thing can be true they could have more restrictive loud noise ordinances than even the county's loud noise ordinance, which is actually being reviewed as we speak, literally, that may be reviewed or changed in the coming weeks. For a lot of different reasons. I think it could be a little tighter, but they're working on that.
Excellent. Well, I greatly appreciate you joining us. And if does anybody else have any questions, comments, concerns? Any hands raised I can't see on my end with the slideshow pulled up? Okay.
Yeah, Alex.
Go ahead, Darcy.
I asked 2 other questions in the chat earlier. Could you please
I'm looking for them here.
Refer those to the ACPD? Thank you.
Some of them were, I think, explained in pretty good detail regarding, Darcy was asking, what efforts are underway to reduce increased crime of all types along Columbia Pike, and has the County Police Department studied or reviewed studies on correlation of vaping and vape stores to the increase in crime?
I'd like to see that. Could I see that?
Yeah.
Oh, no, the one on vaping, just so I understand the question.
Yeah, I'm putting it in. There you go. I just posted it again. That's a copy of
Studies on correlation of vaping and vaping stores to increase in crime. No, we have not studied or reviewed studies on the correlation of vaping and vaping stores to increase in crime. I'm sorry? What I will say is this: we have received reports, especially for those stores, those merchants that sell vaping in their schools, that we're getting reports from parents that their kids are illegally buying vaping. And what I'll say is state ABC that controls smoking and alcohol in the state, they routinely go throughout the state and do sting operations where they're testing to see if anywhere from your mom and pop stores, your 7-Elevens, your grocery stores, anybody that sells smoke, that smells smoking devices, are actually checking for IDs. And routinely, I will tell you, Arlington has a routinely good scores they give us. They share with us a score, and Arlington does relatively well, that our merchants are doing a good job. That's not to say that, I think it's perfect. I'm just saying that they routinely do a good job. But no, we have not done any studies to show a correlation between vaping and vaping stores to an increase in crime. I've never even seen or heard of that, to be honest with you. So I will put my email in the chat, and please, if you have that, you want to send it to me, I would love to see that.
Thank you. Any other questions? Excellent. Well, thank you so much for your time, Deputy Chief. Really appreciate it. It's good to have you back again this year. Very optimistic, albeit cautiously so, about the graffiti issue, and glad to see that we are among the bottom third of, at least, this amongst the safest of community associations and neighborhoods across the county and along Columbia Pike. So, and very, very pleased to hear that both Caspi and Cabana are not, causing issues, and no news is certainly good news, and we hope to certainly keep it that way going forward.
Absolutely, and thank you again for having us. On behalf of myself, Corporal Montoya, Deputy Farris, and Corporal Malone, just want to thank you all for just being good neighbors and inviting us. We love coming to see you guys. Alex, I will see you at the meeting next week, and with your colleagues as well. And again, if you guys ever looking for anything that we can help you with, or we can provide you with anything, please feel free. Alex, I will get back to you, reference more information about what happened at the Shawnee on the beginning of January, as well as where we are with the flags, because I didn't know that. So thank you for bringing that to my attention. And I put my email in the chat. So if any of you would like to reach out to me, please feel free to use it. Thank you.
Thank you. Appreciate you.
Take care, everybody.
So we'll wrap things up pretty quickly, have a few community updates here. So we have a huge 2024 bylaws update pending. Looking to take a look at that this upcoming February. We've had a lot of longstanding committees that haven't been active for our bylaws, which were last revisited and updated circa 2015. So we definitely want, I've had a lot of parents and neighbors come to me saying they want to get involved on a plethora of issues when it comes to what's going on with the Montessori Public School of Arlington, the Career Center update. How can we do some events for the kids in the neighborhood? We get those parents together. I mean, a whole host of issues. So I think it'd be really great. People want to take a leadership role. We can all sit down and plan out which committee specifically we want to revitalize, and then, bring in some folks, make things a little more, I certainly want to delegate more this year, make things much more small D democratic. So I'm looking very forward to that. So hopefully this upcoming month, we'll have some bylaws that we'll be ready to vote on for all dues paying members of the association. I actually do, and I was talking about this last year, and the time kind of blew by. We didn't get to it. I really would love to do some more in-person events, particularly, a spring picnic at Butler Homes Park. I have a grill that my parents have given me, so we can literally have a launch pad from my backyard, which is right on the line of Butler Homes Park. So I want to foster a little more camaraderie between folks. I haven't even met half my neighbors who live, next door to me. So I think that would be great. I had sent via email, and it's on the Facebook page, regarding the stormwater credit application, which is due, hopefully I got the date right, tomorrow, January 31st, where property owners, whether you're a single family homeowner or you have a townhouse, other forms of housing, that you can get some credit back in regard to that application, or stormwater credits, try to offset some of that latest fee imposed on property owners. As I mentioned earlier regarding the committees, I definitely want to sit down and, with my executive committee and put this out to everybody on Facebook and the email listserv, gather some more big picture community input, really gather some big picture concerns and things we want to see going forward. They're sort of out of the realm of You know, I don't like the dog barking over there, or you know, some of these small, you know, and things, but some bigger picture issues. You know, things that come to mind: the career center going on over there on South Wall Street Drive, other things like that that are, you know, gonna be huge, have huge ramifications in the neighborhood. We have a lot of parents who are, you know, who moved here specifically to ensure that kind of proximity for the Montessori Public School of Arlington. So we want to stay on top of these kind of huge projects and foster that, you know, multi-association coordination with our neighbors in Arlington Heights, Columbia Heights, et cetera, et cetera. We're in for some more construction coming up. Yay us. So segment D of the multimodal is supposed to be wrapping up, and now we're in for segment C of multimodal construction this first quarter of 2024, which will be along everywhere from South Courthouse down to my family home of South Broad Street. So as more information makes its way to us, we'll be sure to disseminate that and put that out there. So with that, we're all good for this evening. Any questions, comments, concerns? Feel free to email me anytime, send me a DM on Facebook, and I'll get back to you as soon as I can. So, Azam, do you want to introduce yourself as our new secretary?
Hi, everybody. You've seen me on here before, I'm sure. Not much to say. I'm still trying to figure out what I'm supposed to do as secretary. I think everything was kind of put together last minute, but I think myself, Alex, and everybody else involved will get together in the near future and try to help you guys. I think we're a small community, but with a lot of issues. Obviously, we've been discussing safety issues for the past hour or so, and those are, as Alex knows, very dear to me. When I built my house here, I picked this neighborhood because of safety, and I'm not gonna sit idle, and nobody here will sit idle while that is being jeopardized. So I feel general safety will be a big agenda item for the association in the next year, but also we want to hear your feedback. Any big issues. I think this year, me and Alex agree, we're looking for big, annual items, things we can approach and work on for the whole year, as well as, do what the association requires from a routine work perspective. Again, looking forward to working with everybody, and thank you for your confidence.
Thank you, Zem. With that, we will see you in the near future. So appreciate everybody joining us. Have a good evening.